Inflation and higher interest rates mean tough times for many in this province. Kat Eschner is our Ontario Hub's affordability journalist, and she joins us now from Windsor as she embarks on a province-wide fact-finding mission. Welcome, Kat.
Thanks so much, Dan.
All right, so Windsor, border city. It's the first stop of your recession road trip. Why start there?
The thinking behind that was sort of multifaceted. For one thing, Windsor is a border city, which means it's very linked to the U.S. It is a huge shipping and manufacturing hub in Ontario, and whatever happens down south really affects Windsor. So sort of a thing that like people say about Windsor is a recession always hits Windsor first. So there was that component, but there's also the component that Windsor has a really interesting food scene, both in terms of like there's Windsor pizza, there's local foods, there's this sort of thriving community of people who cook and eat here, but there's also a really vibrant I guess that you could call it like a social food sector. So we're talking about like food bags, community meals, these kinds of things. And I'm not saying Windsor is more in need of those things than other places in the province. Although, you know, data shows us different things about different places. Of course, every area is different. But the density of those services and some of the things about the way they offer food made us think that this would be an interesting place to start, because of course, as we all know, the price of food has gone up substantially over the last 8 months. Food inflation is still over 10%, and it has in the most recent months it has been rising when even the inflation level overall is falling. So it's really a subject that seems like we should be thinking about.
All right, well, let's pick up on that. On one of your stops, you visited Feeding Windsor Essex. What can you tell us about this organization in terms of its place in sort of that food economy that you're talking about?
So I started by speaking with Roger Fordham, who is the director of Feeding Windsor Essex, which is a registered charity that runs and coordinates a lot of local food programs, including a food bank, a number of meal programs, including like community meals and some low-cost meals that you can subscribe to have delivered to your home, sort of like kind of like a Meals on Wheels deal, although it's not exactly the same. And they also run a couple of local businesses that are like social enterprises that help them raise money and partner with other organizations, including one organization that does a Friday food program for children facing food insecurity that sends them home with a take-home bag of food for the weekend, just to sort of fill in the gaps. Like there's some snacks in it. There's, some other things they might like to eat. There's a treat, just some stuff to help their parents make sure they get, enough healthy food.
How has the demands for programs like this increased since 2014? That's when Feeding Windsor Essex started.
So I should emphasize Feeding Windsor Essex was sort of my first stop, but there are other people in the community doing this work, and they've been doing this work for a long time as well. They are also seeing demand. I think the important thing to think about here is just the sort of levels of food insecurity across our province and in Windsor. We know they've been rising in recent years. Research has shown us that people are more food insecure than they used to be, and there's a number of reasons for that. A big one of which is just income. A component of this in Windsor too is that Windsor, especially in the last couple of years, has seen rents and property values go up very significantly, very quickly. Which means that, for most people who are living in a situation where, their income and their needs are sort of very similar. If rent goes up, then you just have less money for food. So that's another component of this in Windsor.
All right, so we know, according to Food Banks Canada, food bank usage has risen to the highest levels across this country. We know, as you mentioned, people with incomes and fixed incomes are relying heavily more on food banks as well. As you mentioned, one of your many stops was also a food bank. What did you learn from the visit there as well?
Well, something I learned about food banks during my reporting on this and as well other earlier reporting I did is that like food banks go a lot beyond these sort of canned goods that someone might donate at a grocery store, the non-perishables, the box of stuffing for the turkey, that kind of thing. Food banks they generally try to be very responsive to community needs. So if there are specific community needs, for instance, the food bank I visited, they have, a number of halal products because they know some of their users observe halal. And that's just one example of the way that food banks sort of cater to local needs. The other thing is they often have a lot of fresh things. So the food bank that I went to, which is coordinated by Feeding Windsor Essex, for instance, they just received a big donation of tomatoes. And so we're talking about like those cute little cherry tomatoes that you get in the store, that kind of thing. So they were making sure that those were included. There were some cucumbers, there were always some eggs and some meat products or some other proteins. So it's more, food banks really focus on trying to get people like a whole plate of food, a whole bunch of options rather than just sort of the canned beans that might be the stereotype.
All right, and earlier this week you also visited Mobile Kitchen. Tell us about that. What was that sort of experience, and who were the people that you chatted with there?
Yeah, for sure. So it's this converted camper van. It's been painted teal blue with yellow accents. It's called the Soup Shack. They had their first opening night on Monday, and Tuesday was their second night. So that's the night I visited. One of the things that Roger Fordham was talking about, and one of the things I know Feeding Windsor Essex does, is it tries to fill in gaps rather than try to replicate services that already exist. So the Soup Shack is open from 7 till 9 p.m. every night of the week. And it's being run by volunteers and the people who run Street Angels. And they offer like a hot meal and some hot drinks and some other supplies. Most people they work with are people who are experiencing homelessness. And it just gives them a gap between when like day programs where they might be able to stay during the day let out and shelters open up for the evening, a chance to get a hot meal and a chance to even get like other supplies. I saw the volunteers at the Soup Shack giving out socks, giving out some other things that they had donated. They had a couple pairs of donated boots, napkins. One man I spoke to, he had eaten already, but one of the things he needed was some napkins. So it's an initiative intended to sort of fill that gap and give people one more way to sort of access resources before they find their shelter for the night, whatever that may be. The other thing that initiatives like this do, so the Soup Shack does, is it works with, for example, the local shelters to sort of, at the request of the people who are accessing the Soup Shack services, seek out, like, try and see if there's a bed open somewhere that they can stay, or if there's if they need help figuring out how to get into certain kinds of shelter, certain kinds of assistance. They sort of act as a point of contact for that as well, because they're involved with that community, and they can sort of bring those resources to bear a little bit.
Kat, look forward to your reporting, and thank you for this reporting. Really appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on the program.
My pleasure.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.